Hello and welcome to Gefet Yael Shimoni, bringing to you together with Hadran and Yeshivat Drisha, learning a bit of Iyun in your Bekiyut Daf Yomi. And I haven't learned with you for a while, and Baruch Hashem, now Rabbanit Chana and I are back at the end of Bava Batra. And today we are going to learn Sugya that is talking about Matnat Shchiv Mera. What is Matnat Shchiv Mera? What happens if somebody is about to die any day and he wants to give presents to people. Usually, when you give a present, you have to do a whole procedure, bureaucracy. You have to have people come and be witnesses and to write it down. But Chazal said that if somebody is on his deathbed, he can do it just with a statement, only with words, no bureaucracy, and it works. So the Sugya discusses that and wants to learn where does it come from, what does it mean. But inside the Sugya, there's a Memra, which is a little bit more sophisticated, which regards a din of the Amora Shemuel. Shmuel had a very special din, very interesting din. And Shmuel says, המוכר שטרחוב לחברו, וחזר ומחלו מחול. So before we go into the daf, let's just understand Shmuel's statement, and that can help us to read the daf, and Bezrat Hashem will try to understand this statement a little bit more and do a bit of iyun on it. And this time, the iyun will be a little different. You'll see. Okay, so what does it mean? המוכר שטר חוב לחברו וחזר ומחלו מחול. So we're talking about a debt that somebody has. You have a loaner and a debtor. And let's say I need money and I'm lending from you. I'm loaning from you. You're giving me money. I'm asking you for $1 million. And Baruch Hashem, you're a big group. You have enough money. You're investing in me. You're doing with me a chesed. You give me $1 million for 5 years. And we write a note on that amount. And let's say 2 years have passed, 3 years have passed. And now, even though you allowed me to return the money in 5 years, you need the money now. Okay, you're having a money problem. At a certain point, you had a lot. Now you're lacking, and you have this note. Now, the note you have cannot give you any money till 5 years have passed. Now, only 3 years have passed. Can you do something? So, what do people do in such a situation? Here we have something very interesting. You sell the note. What does it mean you sell the note? You don't sell the note, you sell the debt. You sell the debt. You give somebody else the ability to invest in this, and he'll give you cash now, and a different person will become my debtor. Okay, these are things that happen all the time. People sell notes. We have also sugyo to talk about a woman who sells her ketubah. She has a note from her husband that she can get a ketubah if he dies. Now he's alive. She needs money now. She can sell her ketubah. And also, any one of you who's investing in Wall Street or any other place, you know that notes are another thing that is being sold. It's not like selling vegetables. It's not like selling houses. It's a different kind of selling. It's selling something that is more abstract. Okay, so this is understanding what does it mean to sell a note. What does it mean to waive a note? So waiving a note, waiving a debt, means that I was supposed to pay you in 5 years. And then I come to you and I say, listen, it's a bad war in Israel. It's going on for a long time. Unfortunately, I can't pay you back. We had COVID. We're having a war. I can't pay you. Can you forgive me? Can you forgive the debt? And then you can say, yeah, we forgive the debt. We turn this debt into a truma. Okay, let's say it's tzedakah. Now the debt becomes tzedakah. We're waiving the debt away, and then the note has no meaning because you said that I don't need to pay you back. Okay, so we understand what it means to waive a note. We understand what it means to sell a note. And now let's understand Shmuel. Shmuel says, if we had this situation that I took a loan from you, and now you needed money, so you sold a note to Aaron. So now Aaron, in 5 years, will get money from me. But then I come back to you. I don't want to talk to Aaron. He doesn't know me. I come back to you and I say, listen, I can't pay you. And I can't pay him. I just can't pay. Shmuel says, you still have the power to waive the note. And when you do, even though Aaron bought this acquired a note from you, that note will have no meaning once you forgave my debt. So that's the law that Shmuel says. And of course, it is very strange. Why would Shmuel say such a thing? If this is true, nobody will want to buy notes because any note you buy, you don't know if your investment is worth anything because who knows? Maybe the next day, the debtor will come and asked to be forgiven. And even though he didn't ask the person who bought the note, he asked somebody else, the original person, suddenly Aaron will stand with no money in his hands and made a wrong investment. It seems as if the law of Shmuel is terrifying and horrible and will destroy any economics that you would have with notes. So this is Shmuel's Din, which is in the Sugya. We'll read the Sugya and we'll try to understand why did Shmuel create such a horrible Din and why was it accepted by Chazal. So Bezrat Hashem, we'll try that and I'll show you this iyun will be slightly different. We'll do Rashi, we'll do Tosafot, we'll do Rambam, we'll do Shulchan Aruch Ramah, but in the end, I'm gonna offer insights and ideas that come not from them, but from a discussion that I had with my husband, Rav Shimon Shimoni. We wrote together an article, and he turned it into part of his doctorate regarding the Din of Shmuel and what's happening here. So, Bezrat Hashem, I'll be offering you some new ideas at the end. Now, let's begin reading the sugya. Okay, so as we said, we have this idea that somebody who's standing on his deathbed can do all kinds of business without bureaucracy. Now, the question is, where do we know that this comes from, and this is the Raisa or the Rabbanan? So we have four Chachamim who are using Pesukim. This is in Daf Kufim Zayin Amud Aleph. Let's see. First, Amar Bizeira Amar Rav, מניין למתנת שכיב מרש"י מן התורה, שנאמר, ועברתם את נחלתו לביתו. יש לך העברה אחרת שהיא כזו, ואיזו זו, זו מתנת שכיב מרע. רב נחמן אמר רב אבר אבונה מהכה, ונתתם את נחלתו לאחיו. יש לך נתינה אחרת שהיא כזו, ואיזו, זו מתנת שכיב מרע. So we see, we have Rav, and we have Rav Abar Avua, both of them saying that the idea that on the deathbed you can give a gift without any bureaucracy, that's halacha from the Torah. Where did they learn it? From Sukkim Parashat Yerusha. העברתם נחלתו לביתו, העברתם נחלתו, נתתם נחלתו לאחיו. This is very strange. Where is that written in the Torah? Sounds, it's not there. We'll see Rashbam in a minute. But let's continue in the Sugya. We have here two other Amoraim that give psukim not from the Torah but from the Navi. Let's see what they say. רב מנסיה בר ירמיה אמר מהכה בימים ההם חלה חזקיהו למות והבא אליו את ישעיהו בן אמוץ הנביא ואומר אליו כה אמר אדוני צו לביתך כי מת אתה ולא תחיה. Chizkiyahu is about to die and the Navi tells him, okay, before you die, tell people what you want from them after your death. Do a tzava'ah. Okay. So here it sounds, it's a better pasuk. Here really we're discussing somebody who's about to die. Okay. Works much better than the psukim we had before. רמי בר יחזקאל אמר מהכה, ואחיתופל ראה כי לא נעשתה עצתו, ויחבוש את החמור, וילך אל ביתו אל עירו, ויצב את ביתו ויחנק. So here we have another story, the story of Achitophel that dies, and he kills himself, and before he kills himself, he gives a tzava'ah, and it sounds as if it's only words. So we understand the two Amoraim at the end of the daf. It's harder to understand the two Amoraim at the beginning of the daf, and here Rashbam explains that where did they learn in Yerusha? How do you take from the pasuk "V'avartem et nachalato lebito" and "V'natatem nachalato leachiv" that there's another way to give things? So says Rashbam, it's because you don't really need the word "v'avartem" and you don't really need the word "v'natatem." The Torah could have written "v'avartem," again, "איש כי ימות ובן אין לו נחלתו לביתו." אין לו בת, נחלתו לאחיו. We could have created a pasuk without the words "v'avartem," without the words "v'netitem," and that's where these Amoraim learned this extra deal. Also, Rashbam here has other explanations which he thinks aren't so good, but this is less our focus, so let's continue. We're moving to the next page. And here we have a totally different view. We have Rav Nachman. Rava says that Rav Nachman didn't think that it's Deraisa, and didn't think that it's from the Divrei Kabbalah, from the Navi. He thought that it was the Rabbanan. Rava Amar Rav Nachman, מתנת שכיב מרע מדרבנן בעלמא היא, שמא תטרף עליו דעתו. Rav Nachman says there's a gezerah of Chachamim to allow somebody to do that on his deathbed. Why? Because we're afraid he's going to lose his mind. So explains the Rashbam here something very interesting that you have to notice, that the reason Chachamim gave this power to somebody on his deathbed, it's not because they're so interested in having somebody do last things before they die. No, that's not their interest. The interest is, says the Rashbam, Shema titaref alav dato. Shema titaref alav dato means we're afraid he's going to go crazy. Why would he go crazy? Says the Rashbam, שמא תטרף עליו דעתו בכל יום מתוך צער שהוא יודע שלא יקיימו את בניו וצוואתו. Somebody who's afraid that people won't listen to him might be so anxious he might even die sooner or might lose his mind sooner. Why did Chachamim do this takana? Because they're worried about the last moments of somebody's life and they want to have him live as long as he can and also to keep his sanity as long as he can. And that's what they're interested in. His sanity, not his power. So that's a small diuk in Rashbam here, which is very nice. But anyway, we see a machloket, right? On one hand, we had these Amoraim who look for psukim, and here Rav Nachman says, according to Rava, that it's only midrabanan. The Gemara is surprised by this and asks on Rava, Umi amar Rav Nachman hachi. Are you sure that Rav Nachman thinks it's deraita? It's the Rabbanan, excuse me. והאמר רב נחמן, אף על גב דאמר שמואל, המוכר שטרחוב לחברו וחזר ומחלו מחול, ואפילו יורש מוחל, מודה שמואל שאם נתנו ונתת שכיב מרע אינו יכול למחולו. היא אמרת בשלמה דאורייתא, משום הכי אינו יכול למחול אלא, היא אמרת רבנני, למה אינו יכול למחול? Okay, so let's see. What's the kushia of the Gemara? So we already know the din of Shmuel. Shmuel's din is, המוכר שטרחוב לחברו וחזר ומחלו מחול. If you sell the note, if I ask you for forgiveness, you can still wave the note away and destroy what you sold. And Shmuel says not only you can do it, when you go to Man Esrim and you pass to Olam Emes, your children, which are your Yorshim, also have the power to do it. Who's the only person who cannot do this, who cannot wave a note? If you sold this note on your deathbed, then your Yorshim, your successors, don't have that power. So we see that Shmuel has a din, and matnat shchiv mera, somebody who sells a note on his deathbed, he's the only one who can destroy this ability to destroy the note. So the Gemara says, if Shmuel's din is so strong, only something deraisa can overcome it. So if Rav Nachman said that Shmuel's din is overcome by matnat shchiv mera, it must mean that Rav Nachman thinks it's deraisa. He can't think it's the Rabbanan. If it's the Rabbanan, how can such a strong din be destroyed just by a Gzerat Rabbanan? So from this kushiyah, we learn that Chazal understood that matnat shchiv mera is very strong, but also the din of Shmuel is very strong, because Shmuel's din cannot be overcome by Gzerat Rabbanan. How will the Gemara answer this? The Gemara gives the cute, small, and interesting answer. Eina shel Torah ve'asauah keshel Torah. Chachamim say here that even though something is the Rabbanan, sometimes Chachamim can give Rabbanan the power of Deraisa. And Matnat Shchiv Mera is Din Rabbanan that has the power of Deraisa. And therefore, even though if it would have been a usual Din Rabbanan, it would not have the power to overcome Shmuel's Din. Now the Chachamim gave it extra energy and turned it into the energy of Din Torah. It can overcome it and still be the Rabbanan. Okay, so this is the sugya, and Rashbam here is going to move us into our question how come Shmuel created such a terrible law? And why is the Gemara so keen on holding this law as something so basic and strong that only the Nei Doraisa or something that Chachamim gave extra power for, only they can overcome it? So Rashbam, Dibur Matchil Mahul, adds new information. Let's read him together. מחול, דלא מחל לו ראשון השני, אלא כל זכות שתבוא לידו. ולא עדיף היי לוקח ממלווה דעתי מחמתי דמלווה. ומיהו מעותיו יחזיר לו מוכר ללוקח, דהה הלכתה היא דדיינינן דינא דגרמי, וזה הפסיד מעותיו, כשורף שטרותיו של חברו דקיימא לן דחייו, מהעובדא דחפי רפרם לרב אשי, ואגבה מיני כקשורא לצלמי. Okay, so this is a long Rashbam. Let's try and understand him. Rashbam says, okay, you read this din Yael, you felt that this din of Shmuel destroys uh, all the commerce that you know about with notes. You can relax. Why? Because if somebody would be waiving a note, he would have to pay the buyer of the note money in return. This is Dina de Garme, says the Rashbam. So let's go over, repeat things that we've learned in Mamakama. Usually, in halacha, you do not pay for nezikin, for torts, if you did not destroy something physical. In order to pay, you have to have physical destruction from direct impact on you. Okay, you have to do direct nezek and destroy something which is physical in order to be chayav in Dinei Torah. But Chachamim said that if you do indirect actions that cause physical damage, you're also chayav. Chachamim also said that if you did direct intervention that caused damage that is not physical, which is more ideal, you're also chayav. And that's the end of the garmi. And here we have a situation that somebody did not burn the actual debt. When you waived the debt, you didn't destroy anything physical. What did you do? You said that the debt doesn't exist anymore. And that's how you made the note meaningless. Says Rashbam, it's exactly as if somebody would take notes of somebody and burn them. When you burn a note, what did you destroy? You destroyed a piece of paper. Sometimes this piece of paper is not worth even a pruta. You're not chayav to be mishalim. But you destroyed somebody's ability to get the money that was written inside that note. And we have a sugya that says that Rashi, when he was young, actually burned somebody's notes. And Rapram, which was a dayan, was mechayev Rav Ashi to pay for that, for the notes that he destroyed. And what did he have to pay? Not the amount that the paper cost, but the actual amount that was supposed to be given to that person if the note would have been in existence. So Rashbam says, you have to understand, Yael, this din of Shmuel doesn't really destroy anything. All it means is that when you, remember, it's you, me, and Aaron, okay? You gave a loan to Yael. Then you needed money, so you sold the note to Aaron. Then Yael came and said, I'm sorry, I can't pay. So you waived her note. So now Aaron will come back to you and ask you to pay what he paid you, right? He gave you money. You have to return that money back to Aaron. So this doesn't really destroy the commerce. It only means that Aaron will take you to court instead of taking me to court. That's the difference. Okay, so this is what Rashbam added to us here. But now we'll see that what Rashbam says is actually in a big machloket in the Rishonim. Okay, so we're moving into the second part of the Gefet. We're trying to understand what's behind the strange law of Shmuel. Right now, the Rashbam said all Shmuel did was change the person that will be in court. It's not me, it's you. Aaron will sue you. So why is it so important to do that law? Why did Shmuel do that? So first look at this machloket rishonim we have here, and let's try to understand. Now we said that when you waived a note, you have to pay, Aaron, the amount that was in the note. But that's not such an easy statement to say. Actually, there are three different options to decide how much you have to pay Aaron. One is what we said now. Aaron bought a note for $1 million. You're going to have to pay him $1 million. That's one option. Let's make it easier. Okay, let's say the debt is only 1,000 shekels. Okay, so 1,000 shekels or $1,000, whatever you want, dollars or shekels, anything goes. Pay him 1,000 because you now destroyed his investment for 1,000 shekels. That's one option. The other option is to say, excuse me, Aaron paid me 800 shekels for this. No, why only 800 shekels? Because he knew that only in 5 years he can get it, and he doesn't really know if I'll have the money to return. So he's taking a risk. He won't pay 1,000 shekels for the note for 1,000 shekels. He'll pay less. You will still cut the deal because you need money now. So you prefer to have 800 shekels now than having 1,000 shekels in 5 years. So he paid you 800. So all you have to return him is only the amount that he paid you, 800. That's a different option. A third option is to say, we have to see what you destroyed. And when you waive the note, that will be the date that will check how much that note cost at that moment. How much Aaron would have gained if he would have sold that note that moment at Wall Street. And that might be 900. So you see, there are three different ways in calculating how much this note actually means, how much money you're going to have to pay him when you destroy the note. And as we will see, there's a machloket between Tosfot and Rambam on the amount that you have to pay. According to Tosfot on the dot, Tosfot says, פירש רבנו שמואל דלמאן דדיין דינן הגרמי, הווה מוחל צריך להחזיר ללוקח מה שנתן לו. ואומר לי, אין צריך להחזיר, אלא מה עוד שנתנו בו הלקוחות ולא כל השטר. So according to Tosfot, it's true that Rashbam says that you have to pay 1,000 shekel, but Reef says you don't have to pay 1,000 shekel. You have to pay only the amount that he paid you. Rambam goes like Rashbam. Rambam מחול חובר ומזיק, פרק זין הלכה י', you can get to him through the daf. וכן הוא ראובן שהיה נושה בשמעון, ומכר השטר ללוי, וחזר אחר שמחלו ומחלו לשמעון. הרי נפטר שמעון, כמו שהתברר במקומו, ונתחייב ראובן לשלם ללוי כל מה שבשטר. So according to the Rambam, he's like Rashbam. You have to pay the entire amount that is inside the note. 1,000, no less. So let's see the machloket. According to the Re, you pay only 800, what he paid you for the note. According to Rambam and Rashbam, you have to pay 1,000, what was inside the note, the investment that he made. The Beit Yosef, when he reads the Rambam, says that the Rambam doesn't really say what we think he says. The Beit Yosef says in Choshen Mishpat Siman Vav Seif Lamed Bet, at the end of the Seif, ומי הוא שמים כמה היה השטר שווה להימכר, כי דבר ידוע הוא שאינו נמכר בכל הדמים הכתובים בו, כיוון דמחוסר גבוביינה. ושמים כל שטר לפי משהו, כגון שהלווה הוא גברא עלמא, ולא יצאת לדינה או שאינו נכסים. עד כאן לשונו. So according to the Shulchan Aruch, even if you're pasking like the Rambam, you have to understand that you have to see how much that note is worth now. How much is it worth? First of all, the time hasn't come, so it's worth less than the investment. And also, you're going to have to look at the debtor. Is he a person that is likely to return the debt? Maybe he's a person that might have trouble, and if he goes to court, he won't cooperate with court, and that might change the worth of that note. And that's what the Rambam is pasking. So if we'll look at what happened now, Reese said that you have to pay 800. And the Rambam, according to Beis Yosef, says you have to pay 900. The Reese says you have to pay the amount that you paid the original owner of the note. According to Rambam, now you see how much a note is worth at the moment that you destroyed it. And the Shulchan Aruch is posek, like the Rambam of the Beit Yosef. He's a certain person. And the Ramah is posek like Ri. Okay, so we see 800 is the psika of the Ramah, and 900 is the psika of the Shulchan Aruch. So according to both of them, both Rambam and Rashi and Rashbam and Ri, all of them think that in such a situation, there is a loss of an investment. And therefore, this Dean of Shmuel does actually hamper selling notes because anybody who is investing in a note is now afraid that you might destroy his investment. So again, why did Shmuel do such a thing? What's behind this law of Shmuel? So as I said, this is going to be slightly different. Now I'm going to share a few thoughts that were written down. And it's an interesting offer to understand Shmuel's deed. Okay, so again, our question is, why make this strange halacha? Okay, let's look at the original situation of giving loans in the Torah. According to the Torah, we want Am Yisrael to give loans to one another. Actually, it's very important. It's a mitzvah. In kasef talvei ami. And then it's a mitzvah to return the loan. We want our society to be a society that loans are offered to people. What kinds of loans? Loans with no rebate. Loans which are chesed. You're giving somebody money that you cannot use now, and he's not going to give you what you're losing on the time that you don't have the money with you. And yet we want you to do that. We want to help you invest in such a way, even you're not going to gain anything from it. It's pure chesed. So now we can understand why it's very important for us for you to be able to sell the note, because it's one thing to do chesed, it's another thing to be really stuck because you gave a lot of money to someone. So it's in our interests for you to sell notes. But what will happen once you sell a note? Our relationship, when you give a loan, according to the Torah, the relationship that you have with your debtor is a relationship of chesed. Usually it's built on a close relationship, on kindness. Now, when you don't have money for yourself and you want to sell the note, you're going to sell it to somebody whose his interest in this transaction is totally investment. It's money, it's not chesed. And that person is not interested in relationships. He just wants to get the money. He did it as an investment, not as a chesed. And therefore, the new debtor can be a huge problem. And he might really create a hardship for the original debtor against to the Torah law, because the Torah doesn't want somebody to be a no-ship for him. So what we thought is that maybe Shmuel thinks that we don't want the original loaner to be out of the picture, even though he sold it. Since the buyer is somebody who's not interested in chesed, he's interested in money, you want to have the person who was the good doer still here in the background. And why is that important? Because if the seller, who's again just interested in money, if he's going to act in a bad way towards the debtor, then you will waive the note away. And what will you do? You will ask the original debtor to pay you. And then when he pays you, you'll pay him. You'll be able to, to solve the situation instead of creating this new relationship, which is only cold and only money oriented, to return it back to be the original situation of chesed. So that's what Shmuel is doing here. On one hand, he wants you to have the power to sell. And that's why there's still dina de garme, and you're going to still have to pay if you waive the note. But on the other hand, he doesn't want the situation of a loan to become purely interaction of money. He wants you to still be in the picture so it will remain the original relationship of chesed. So that's what we offered. And then in his doctorate, Rav Shmuel saw that also, without talking about chesed, it seems that in other places in the world there are similar laws to Shmuel because the change of a debtor is really problematic because there is a very specific relationship between a person when he gives a loan and a debtor. And that relationship is a problem to move it to someone else. So his doctor is very interesting. You're more than welcome to see it. And we wrote a much shorter piece in Netuim Yud of Michael Herzog. So anybody who's interested in these ideas, there's where to get them. You can write to me and I can send it to Michelle. So let's just sum up what we've done today. We read a sugya. The sugya didn't reach all these ideas that I said in the end. All the sugya was doing was to find out what is the deen of shchiv mera. What is the power of somebody to give gifts when he's on his deathbed, and a machloket between the Amoraim whether or not it's the right or the Rabbanan. Rav Nachman said it was the Rabbanan, and then the Sugya said, how can he say that if he thinks that it can also overcome the din of Shmuel, המוכר לחברו, וחזר ומחלו מחול. We looked at this din, we saw that the Rashbam is there to tell us don't be so afraid of this din because there's din de garme. It doesn't really make a big difference. You're going to still have to pay. Then we saw there's a machloket about the amount that you have to pay, and actually halachically there is still a loss of the buyer. And we try to understand what's the idea behind this din of Shmuel. Why will Shmuel try to hamper this transaction of notes? And we offer the idea that a transaction of notes takes an original relationship and turns it into a different relationship. And Shmuel is actually preventing that from happening by keeping the original debtor inside the picture. So I hope you enjoyed our gift today. It was slightly different, and I hope it enlightens your daf, and Bezrat Hashem, continue enjoying this serious learning of Bava Batra in your daf yomi. Take care.